We got live baseball games to talk about. I'm excited about that. We'll be all at you here with the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. All coming up next. Happy Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. If you could please rate and review the podcast if you enjoy listening to us, that would be very much appreciated by everybody on our end. We got real games to talk about. It's very exciting. We actually have a baseball season. We got the first, Jeff, we got the first normal baseball season in a while here. We had the like first one, real one since like 2019. It was fun to like not worry about anything else. We got games going on, but how are you? How are you tonight?
I'm good. I get to talk about FAAB. I get to talk about games, no labor issues.
It's beautiful.
I can stop complaining about referees because, hey, umpires are fine. There's no problem there. We're good. No ump shows.
Horrendously ref game, by the way.
Horrendous. But apparently I'm new to college women's basketball because I guess that's a common problem. Moving on. But yeah, you know what? I love, and the thing is, it was horrendously reffed in the first half too. I think everybody was paying attention in the second half to some really bad stuff. But I mean, LSU got hosed a lot in the first half too. So I mean,
a game should not be determined by the fact that all the good players have two fouls and are sitting down for the entire second quarter of the game. It was so bad.
It was ridiculous. And kudos to LSU. I mean, they were better the whole game too. That's the shame is it that there was the takeaway should have been, hey, this was an awesome game and there's a lot of great players out there. And instead we're talking about celebrations and refs. And
they were, I'd say they were significantly better.
Yeah, they were. And here's my other take on the celebration. There, I'm done. I had no other take. Let's move on. Now let's talk baseball.
I agree fully. I don't want to go down that path either. So let's talk to baseball. We got games this weekend. We got the A's giving up about 100 runs over the weekend. So I think everything is kind of as we anticipated. We've got don't look at your
after Thursday where it was Kyle Muller ace.
Yeah. It's going to be as bad as we anticipated. But how was the weekend of baseball for you? Did you have an okay start? I know it's one series. If it happens in July, nobody would notice. I had some rough going early on, but again, it's one series. I don't really care that much. But it's been a rough time on the pitching side for me so far.
Yeah, we got hounded today in St. Louis badly. I have 3 main event teams. One's in first place, and the other 2 have Chris Bassett. So about the opposite start there, and of course it's 4 days. So even the
pretty much impossible to have a 9 earned run game and have a good standing after 3 days. So I guess my question is, obviously, who cares? Whatever. He got smoked. He got blown up. It was really bad. Are you worried past today? Are you concerned that maybe this was not a little blip and that something wrong with Chris Bassett? Maybe he's gonna struggle a little bit.
So and the problem was that I was doing the show when that game started, and it wasn't one of the 8 games on the Grid channel.
It was not for a while. I noticed that.
I was sort of spared, but knowing like exact velocity, and I have to do a little bit of digging on that a little bit more. Right. But I saw his velocity was low. At least that was the first tweet I saw. Like he was topping out at 90 in the first inning, and maybe he got up a little higher there later, but apparently not because he, after avoiding the raindrops in the second inning, the damage started coming again. They left him in for all 9 runs. I mean, that's going to leave a mark. That's going to really hurt.
Yeah, I was talking to someone like that's one of those ratio holes. You're in one now. It's going to take you a couple weeks to get out. It take a couple weeks of really good pitching, if not a little bit longer. Those do hurt, and they linger for a while, especially early in the season. They really, really linger at that point. But
they do, and I also on one of my 2 teams where I have them, I also have Manoah and Michaelis. So just off to a roaring start on that team there.
I have Zach Wheeler on that team, so it was a similar when 2 of your 4 pitchers get absolutely smoked. It's tough.
Sir Anthony too, don't you?
I actually sat Sir Anthony this weekend, so I was fortunate there because he had the old no innings pitch 3 earned runs outing that you always love to see. I had enough starters that I wanted to. You want to talk about a good move? I was talking a lot of bad moves. I used Seth Lugo instead of Sir Anthony. Was my final decision this weekend.
You chose wisely.
Yeah, because Seth Lugo was awesome today, and Sir Anthony was not. I'm looking at Bassett. Looks like most of the stuff is 90, 91 at least in most of these innings here. So yeah, it's that's not great.
No, it's not. And so the question then becomes, what do you do about it? Is it actionable? Like, what do you do in this next app? Do you rest him for an outing to see, like, okay, was that a blip? I mean, it's because sometimes the milk goes bad in a hurry and it stays bad. And that's not great. It's a start on the road against the Angels.
Yep.
You know,
I have to look at all my options. I'm likely using it. He's my SP 4th draft in there. So if I But the other thing is, like, some of your 6, 7, and 8 guys this week have 2 starts because a lot of guys didn't throw the first half of the week. So you're gonna be throwing a lot of those back end guys. When I looked, I'm actually old school, so I actually print my pitchers for the week and who I'm picking up and all that. And I put an automatic check mark next to people as I'm doing FAAB, so I know how many pitchers I need. He did not get an automatic check mark. I think he had 6 of those, so he did not get I'm throwing him this week. It was I need to think about whether I'm using them this week. So it was not automatic for me. My guess would be I'll use them, but I'm not sure, which says a lot in week 2 about my 10th round pick.
This might also be a Cardinals comment too, though. Let's think about the other thing. This is a long lineup.
If Burleson's good and Gorman and Brendan Donovan are good, suddenly that lineup is unbelievably stacked.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And by the way, I think Alec Burleson can flat out hit. I don't know if he's gonna get enough time or playing time or how it's gonna work, but I think he can flat out hit.
Yeah. They host the Braves. That could be a fun offensive series.
Oh, that is a fun series.
I'm thinking maybe sitting Michaelis actually, but that's it's like SP5 and
he didn't look good either.
No, he wasn't fooling anybody. So yeah, that is something we're gonna have to watch. But again, you get these returns in, and we got to remember it's one start, and you just have that. I guess you have to dig into details. And when you're doing Sunday FAAB and you're in 20 leagues, you don't have time to do the details on every single player. God, I don't know how billionaire Bob's going to handle all of his FAAB this year. Unless he pulls a list and farms it out. I just don't see it.
We talk about who looked bad, but man, who looked good is the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tigers are really bad, but the Rays get 3 runs all weekend, and the Rays get the Nationals and the A's this week. You talk about starting 9 games. Detroit, Washington, Oakland. You'd be shocked if they're not 7-2 after this week.
Yeah, Bill will come due at some point, for their pitchers. But it looks like a good lineup, and it looks like, obviously Jeffrey Springs was just mowing them down today. 12 Ks and 6 no-hit innings, just that walk. So good.
It's always a good sign.
The helium wasn't enough.
You don't give up a hit for your second start.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there wasn't enough helium for Jeffrey Springs, as it turns out.
Yeah, and he's home against the A's next weekend, and oh man, talk about a spot you want to use him. That's sweet right there. And Drew Rasmussen hasn't pitched yet, but he gets at Nationals, home against Oakland this week. That's I don't know if you could drop a better 2-step than that.
Yeah, not to mention too, So you get that. Rasmussen gets the double dip. Josh Fleming, gets 1 this week. At first, I thought it was going to be 2, but Fleming, then the week after he gets Boston and then at Toronto, not quite as good. But yeah, that's all. I picked up Fleming in a place or 2, but it looks like I'm getting 1 start for this week, and I'll use him for that. But yeah, the week after, pitch to contact guy against teams that make good hard contact, I think I'll pass on that.
And then on top of that, just for a little more fun, we had the night game tonight. It was a good thing it was a quick game because they're all quick games now. They're all quick games now. But about 40 minutes till the FAAB deadline, 9th inning, door opens. Will Smith comes out of there, not Jose Leclerc. And Leclerc, I don't think had pitched since Thursday, so it was not like a usage thing. Did you adjust your FAAB on the fly there? I imagine a lot of people were slotting Will Smith in maybe behind Pierce Johnson or ahead of Pierce Johnson, where it may be. But I imagine a lot of bids got made, changed and made in the last half hour here.
Indeed, I did, my friend. It was only available in one of my 3 mains, and I did not get him. We lost 67-59, so that was kind of hurtful.
Leclerc, were you higher on him or higher on Pierce Johnson?
Higher on him.
Okay.
We did not get Smith, Danny Jimenez, or Pierce Johnson. Pierce Johnson went for 89 in one of them, and then triple digits in another. So
89 feels low. He was triple digits and a $200 bid in one of my 3.
I had a 219 for Pierce Johnson in one. Oh, Will Smith was in my 30 was available. He went 233, and Pierce Johnson went 155. So the one where I lost Will Smith 67-59 feels kind of hurtful, but
it does a little bit.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, I don't know. We know that Bruce Bochy likes Will Smith. He had him in San Francisco a little bit. This may have been a, like the matchups kind of thing. We don't really know the answer to that, but it says something that Leclerc was available and wasn't used.
Yeah, it does. Was it an issue? Who's coming up? I'm trying to remember who he faced.
I was watching the game, and I can't remember who he faced. I was probably watching the Warriors trick away another road game at the time, but
that's a skill.
It's a skill. They have perfected it in every possible way.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Let's see. I'm looking at. I can probably figure out who he faced here, but this is great. Derek Hall, Bryson Stott, and Edmundo Sosa.
Okay, not exactly murderer's row, especially with Derek Hall being a lefty to start off. So I think that maybe it might be a pump the brake situation a little bit here.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm in another league, the FSGA league. I was kind of annoyed because I was told one time for the FAAB run and it turned out to be earlier, but
that's not great.
Yeah. Last week, but this week I got him in. I'm like, where the hell's Will Smith? I know he's available. No, not only was he on my team, he was on my active roster this past week, but
that is amazing.
Maybe a sign that I need intervention, but
I actually had those names backwards. It was Sosa, Stott, and then Derek Hall actually pinch hit for Christian Pache. So it was gonna be three righties with Sosa, Stott's a pinch hit or a switch.
What does that tell you about Christian Pache?
No, Stott's lefty. Sorry. So it would have been righty, lefty, righty, but bottom of the order. And you're right. It says a lot about Pache as a hitter when they use Derek Hall lefty on lefty instead of him.
Yeah. It says a lot. It says a lot about the Phillies weekend too.
Yeah. By the way, Pache can't hit. I don't know if anybody knew that or not. Oh, the Phillies got swept in that series, didn't they?
Yeah, a little World Series hangover there. And it's been an awful no good month for them.
And Nola and Wheeler really got hit around too.
Yeah, Wheeler got squeezed a little, and there were 3 full count called strikes against the Phillies that were all by I think I forget the account that ruled that Buckner missed those, like all 3 of them.
Wow.
Also a weird series because there's a retractable roof, and yet they were still off Friday. But I think that's a function of forced interleague series, and you can't have like a 4-game series in an interleague series, and everybody starts on Thursday, sort of thing.
I kind of felt that Saturday was really opening day. Thursday's kind of like the big show and the exhibition, and then Saturday felt like the first real day of baseball. I love opening day; it was fun, but knowing that nobody plays the next day, there are 5 games, whatever it was.
5 games on a Friday, so weird.
Yeah, it was really weird. So I'm glad we're back to a normal schedule. But let's jump into some FAAB. Let's start on offense. I thought that. It's really hard to find, to break down offensive FAAB after one series. You don't have guys that are really any kind of track history. But Joey Waimer got called up by the Brewers with Luis Urias went on the IL. Waimer was a stud last year in the minors. 21 home runs, 31 stolen bases across a AA and AAA. I guess the question is how much he'll play. The second question is how much he'll strike out. He had a 30% strikeout rate in AA. Did drop the strikeouts in AAA, but a lot of swing and miss. His swing strike rate was really high in AA and AAA. What'd you guys do with Waimer this week? Someone you're interested in? Obviously, a speed power combo guy are always in demand, but I worry about it. A, hitting ninth. B, how much he'll actually play, and C, the strikeouts.
And D, it could be short term once Urias comes back too.
Although he's out he's out like 6 to 8 weeks, right?
Is it that bad?
I thought it was that long.
Which anything can happen there. That does make me sound like a real idiot by even citing that as a concern. So thanks, Scott. Appreciate you. No,
just trying.
Appreciate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says may miss 8 weeks was the.
That's a bad one.
Yeah,
that's a real bad one.
Yeah.
My bids were probably too modest then. In reflection of that, but
they've got Frelick coming up, and there's someone, and Tyrone Taylor's coming back. I think Tyrone Taylor's more the impact than Urias is actually, because Tyrone Taylor should be coming back as an outfielder, and it can move Brian Anderson around a little bit. But I was worried about ninth and playing time and the strikeouts. I was in the kind of the mid 30s on his bids, and I was kind of outbid across the board.
I did not get one share of Joey Waimer yet, so yeah, and it's a platoon. You know what really bothers, and I hope it's not a strict platoon, because I am overweighted on Garrett Mitchell, and that would be a real big problem if Garrett Mitchell's on the short side of a platoon.
I know Mitchell is Mitchell's a lefty. No, yeah, Mitchell's a lefty.
Well, then because Mitchell sat on Saturday. That's why I said that. But
yeah, and Weimer's
this
a
is just
righty.
Jeff
Weimer's
is wrong,
righty, yeah.
even more than usual edition.
No, I was trying to do. They are opposite. I had to look, but I think so. Yeah, I don't think they'll go strict platoon. I think they like Mitchell too much for that. But yeah, that's it's probably in the mix a little bit. Some games that both play.
You're right. You're right, because his lefty was Justin Steele that pitched on Saturday.
He pitched well, by the way. He looked really good.
Yeah, and which falls off his spring too.
Yeah. Weimer went for 53 and somewhere 85 in my two. So I was low. I was in the mix, but I was definitely low. Not the backup bid there. Bidding was aggressive this weekend. Anybody else in the outfield? I know in 12 teamers there are a couple of studs. Jose Siri and James Outman both looked really good this weekend. Jose Siri especially had a stolen base, had 4 RBIs, had a home run. Outman had a home run and a stolen base too. Seems to be playing a bunch for the Dodgers. He may get platoon a little bit, but they seem like he's definitely in the mix for them. Trevor Larnach hitting 4th for the Twins, also in the mixed outfield. What'd you do kind of with some of these outfield names? Were you how aggressive were you?
All 3 of those guys are relevant to this conversation for me. I got in the 12 Tween Online Championship. I picked up Siri and Outman, both 88 and 57 respectively. I probably could have gone a little lower. You even told me I could go lower.
I love those ads though. I mean, I know you probably could have gone lower. You might have won them, but man, both those guys are guys I think you're going to hold for a long time.
Yeah, I cut Christopher Morel as one of them, and then I cut Mitch Haniger because I just can't wait on him.
Yeah,
I might regret that a little bit, but I like both players. Outman, man, he's such a patient hitter. It's really fun to watch.
That home run he had, he has a nice, really short swing. He went opposite field in that home run. Yep. I hate to say it. I really like them. I literally like watching this Dodgers team. I know they've lost some guys, but they've added some. I like watching Vargas hit super. I think he had 6 walks or something over the weekend.
Yep.
I like Outman a lot too. I really like this team right now.
Yeah. I've got a lot of Larnach this weekend. I got Larnach in one of our mains. And then I also picked him up in XFL, which is the quasi. I wouldn't say it's kind of industry. Well, there's a lot of industry people plus experienced players. So when we do it First Pitch Arizona, it's also kind of a quasi dynasty, but we don't do bids. We do monthly free agent supplementals. So I picked him up there, which was really nice. I think I might have picked up Larnach somewhere else too. I know I had a bid in on him in a couple other places. Some that I haven't run yet, like Labor and I think and maybe Scarf. I don't know. And TGFBI, I don't think I did pick them up there, but still waiting on the a couple of them there. So a lot of places where I was interested in Larnach hit 4th, I think, maybe one day.
Yeah, I think he hit 4th the first 2 days of the season. I have to look today what he hit, but he hit 4th on I guess I keep wanting to say Friday and Saturday, but it was Thursday and Saturday. That's a good lineup to hit 4th in. I mean, I don't know if they're a huge lineup, but if you're hitting 4th, it's a pretty good one. He struck out too much last year. There's no doubt he had some strikeout issues, but 11.5% barrel last year in his 180 plate appearances, 44% hard hit rate. Guy can hit the ball. If he could just drop
today too. Yep.
If he could swing and miss, drop the swing and miss a little bit, he hits 4th. I mean, that's a guy in a 15 teamer. That's a really nice spot to be in.
Yeah, I'd agree. So I was happy to add him. And then we'll get to when we get to infielders, there's another hitter that I got frequently as well. But
do you have any feel for how St. Louis is going to use Alec Burleson? Because he's a guy that I really like. He at 331, he led the International League in hitting last year. 20 home runs, 87 RBIs. He doesn't strike out either. Strikeout rate in the minors was 14.3%. He had a big BABIP, but still, when you're not striking out and you're getting that much power, he had a few stolen bases in there too. Juan Yepez obviously is out of there. Dylan Carlson only played 1 of the 3 games. He did have 3 hits today, but he's clearly kind of their 4th or 5th outfielder. I just don't know how much Burleson played. They have a lot of mouths to feed in St. Louis, but I do like the guy's a hitter, and I just don't think the playing time is going to quite be there as much as I want it to.
Yeah, well, Lars Nootbaar missed 2 games this weekend too. That was something that really helped out Burleson. Nootbaar's got a thumb issue. So that's something to watch for Monday.
Yep.
If Nootbaar isn't in the lineup against the Braves on Monday, he might be a sit. At least first half of the week, he's an obvious sit. But if you have to make this decision for the full week, as I do in a league, that's a tough call. But that would open the door for Burleson. And this is the Cardinals. This is for a while. You had Nolan Gorman was the flavor of the month, and then he was buried, and now he's on fire again. So great. You had Paul DeYoung was on fire for a while.
I remember that name. Yeah.
Yep.
And Brendan Donovan now looks. I mean, he's got a rework swing, hitting for power. It looks like so far so good. Jeff, someone in the chat is asking about Clay's brother, Trace Thompson. Does he have any staying power, or is it the game of his life? I would call it the game of his life. He does hit the ball really hard, a lot of swing and miss, and I think he's probably going to get platooned out a bunch against righties. It was fun to watch, and the crazy thing is all three of those home runs exact same exit velocity. That was the strangest stat I've seen in a while. They were all three were 107.5, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. I think it's noteworthy they came off of it started off of Madison Bumgarner, who then got sent home to get his arm checked out for arm fatigue.
He's bad. He got drafted. He got drafted in 0 main events.
I did know that actually.
Is that crazy?
It is crazy. It is crazy. I made a joke that it was neck fatigue from turning around and whiplash and looking at those home runs going out, but then he wanted to throw me in the ocean, something. I don't know. But
someone asked in the chat, should they be concerned with Alex Bregman? It's one series. I wouldn't be concerned about Bregman. I don't love Bregman at the price anyway that he was being drafted. I would never have taken him in that spot, but Bregman will be fine. He'll hit. He's going to be the same guy he always is. It's just one series. If someone had an 0 for series in July, we wouldn't even notice it. So I wouldn't worry about anybody solid like that. Let's see. What about the infield? The infield I thought was a little tougher. There were some interesting names in the outfield. The infield was tough. I needed some middle infielders, some spots. I looked at Orlando Arcia a little bit now that he's playing shortstop for the Braves. Hwan Bay is outfield eligible only right now for Pittsburgh, but he did play with second base once. So maybe he'll get there. Yep. He has 2 stolen bases already. Garrett Cooper's hitting third for the Marlins. Thought that was an interesting name. What did you do in the infield? Were you looking for anything there?
So in 2 of our 3 mains, we're hanging with Mr. Cooper. We picked him up this week.
I added him in. I added him in my third online main. I added him too. I guy hitting third, and when he plays before he gets hurt, he hits the ball hard, and it's a good spot.
Yeah, Larnach and Cooper were both targets, I thought, for us because batting order again. It's the Marlins, so I mean it's not a great park or lineup, but nonetheless, good spot, and he's proven he can hit in the past. That is all-star Garrett Cooper, after all.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. When I did the sneaky ads video with Alan this morning, I did bring up Hwan Bay, and he's had like 20 plus stolen bases everywhere he's gone.
Yeah.
The Pirates have nothing but playing time to give, so they also could pivot around very quickly. But you pretty soon are going to have second base and outfield eligibility. I didn't get him in the mains, but I've had bids in on him in places. I prefer Cooper and Larnach to him, but he's definitely someone if you need stolen bases, and we're going to talk about this. You're going to need stolen bases. Yep. It's well worth paying attention to.
You want to talk about now? The stolen bases were crazy. There were, I saw a stat. There were 5 stolen bases on opening day last year, 21 this year. It was guys are running
70
crazy
for the season already.
I mean, I look at Baltimore. Like Mateo has 4 already. Mullins has 3. They were running crazy on Reese McGuire over the week, or on Thursday and on Saturday. It was. I tell you what, we talked about stolen bases. I know the percentage is not going to be up as much in the minors. I don't know. Guys are running crazy right now.
I mean, just the success rate is crazy. It's like 84%.
Yeah, it's wild.
It was today going into today's game. There were 49 stolen bases, 7 caught.
That is wild.
Not all of them were against Reese McGuire. It just felt that way.
It did feel that way. And it feels to me like it's way, way, way more pitch clock and throwing over and the timing of the game rather than the bases. Like, I don't really think – I get the impression the guys are just being able to time stuff. They know they can 100%. See the pitch clock. They can see the guy has three seconds to throw. They know he's only thrown over once. The guys are just getting great jumps. You saw Anthony Volpe was the most interesting to me because it was like he has this like weird little hop he does and then he goes, and it's almost like he's – been in the minors last year with a pitch clock, and he kind of has figured out how to time it and how it all works. You can kind of tell he's stealing bases differently than guys have in the past because he's done it. He knows how to do it. And he's stealing bases easily.
2 anecdotes that caught my eye today. Corbin Carroll, 2 stolen bases without throws, led to Arizona's first run.
Thank you, no Syndergaard.
Yeah. I mean, it was like the perfect, clock rules, disruption rules, Corbin Carroll's massive sprint speed, and Thor. It's like there's just 0 chance. And the Dodgers announcers were dead on like this. Why did they wait till now? Like, yeah, exactly. Then the Sunday night game, I think you and I were even texting about this one here, or maybe I was talking with somebody else on Twitter, but the play where Jonah Heim called timeout right as Trey Turner was making his break. It was like 2 or 3 seconds left on the pitch clock, and they granted the timeout. Ridiculous. By the way, they were able to get away with that. And they even said Carl Ravitch, who I really like. I like that Sunday night crew a lot, but there's like great. What's it? Disruption? What's the phrase? Not disruption, but what's you're allowed 2 of them.
Yeah,
not
I
disrupting, but
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what it is either.
It's gonna drive me nuts because I'll think about it exactly after there. But I was just like, that's the new parlance in the game. Like,
Right.
Great job by the catcher to have an interruption. Like,
Right.
Great timeout. No, that's not the game. That's not what we're trying to have.
It's not.
Let's micromanage this. Let's have a replay to see if he actually called the timeout before or after the jump.
I don't flip over to the ESPN2 broadcast because I don't really like, I can't listen to A-Rod very much, but they did a full inning with the umpire cam. It was pretty awesome. It was pretty cool. And
I don't do that on mute. That'd be cool. Except
I don't know how anybody gets a hit in the majors. Like, it's insane.
It's insane.
These guys are so insanely good. And it was, I think it was
disengagements, by the way. Thank you, Matt Leahy.
Yeah, I was looking at, I was watching, I think it was Falter was pitching, and he doesn't throw that hard, but the umpire cam is really cool to see the pitches come in. You don't realize how anybody ever makes contact. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Someone asked in the chat about Hwan Bae. Will he get on base enough to steal bases? I mean, the guy had a double-digit walk rate in the minors last year. Had a OBP of 360. I think that he can get on base. I mean, who knows if he can do it in the majors? We don't know that yet. But he has shown a history of not striking out, swing strike at under 10% in the minors, and he does walk too. So I think that I think he can get on base. If who knows how much he can hit in the majors, and that's still to be seen. But 31 bags in 2019, 30 in 2022. I think he can get on base enough to steal some bases.
Yeah, and I think there's some talent there, and find hope at find value in a hopeless place. Something. I mean, I'm a Reds fan. You're an A's fan. Pirates fans know this. Nats fans know this. There's value you can find on these teams just out of playing time, and it's not always going to be great, but there's opportunity here.
Don't you mean the 2-1 Reds?
We played the Pirates.
I know,
and we haven't had a 4th or 5th starter pitch yet. So yeah. Graham Ashcraft, by the way,
look good. Throws hard, by the way.
Ashcraft.
Dude throws hard.
I told you that part.
You did.
He was throwing 100. He just couldn't miss bats last year. Now he had 6. I think he had 6 Ks in 7 innings, something like that. It's close. He's getting there, and he's got a different grip on his slider. It's probably got a sweeping motion, I've heard, but it seems to be the popular thing that right now is a horizontal motion everybody's going for.
The sweeper, the slurve, all that sort of stuff. There were, I think it was Miguel Castro in that the Diamondbacks Dodgers game. He threw an unbelievable pitch to Freddie Freeman. I'm just like, I don't know how anybody gets a hit, but it was like even Freddie, who's like an elite all-world, top 1% hitter among the greatest hitters. Looked silly on that pitch, so it was nasty. Did you get to watch any Kodai Senga at all today?
Yeah, I saw the Uncle Ted comment on Ghost Fork. Not only did I did it, I thought I had a really good Twitter joke, and no one got it at all. I said Kodai Senga should teach Zach Davies the Ghost Fork because Zach Davies would be a natural about ghosting.
Oh, that's good. See, I would have gotten that.
Yeah.
Did he go? He ghosted his wife, right? It wasn't just a girlfriend. Yeah. It was like actually his wife.
Yeah, it's crazy. Senga, I mean, the highlights of his outing, the 8 Ks were great. I mean, ESPN really tricked it up with the little ghost symbol and all that. It was very clever. Man, that looked fun.
And it's funny because that first inning, the first 4 guys, he didn't get an out, and it was like, I'm like, right. Oh, this is, and he had no idea where the ball's going. It was moving everywhere, but I wasn't sure he could.
Command's always been the problem with him, right?
Yeah, he's gonna have some game. The problem is he missed in the zone a couple times, so you're like, I can see how he gives up some 3-run homers. But man, when he throws hard, and then the slider's nasty, and the ghost fork is like, I forget who it was. It was whoever hit before Jesus Sanchez. Oh, it was Gurriel. Actually swung the ghost fork through his bat. Halfway down the dugout. Like, it was unbelievable. I mean, it was a wild. He had a couple times. I think he threw a pitch to Garcia that probably should have been 3-run homer, like a huge mistake up high, like a changeup or a slider up high. Barely missed it, but then he kind of settled in, and it was impressive after that. I think he's going to have some. We're going to have some blow up games. We're going to have some really good. He's going to strike out a lot of guys this year.
Yeah, I think it really is about him getting the calls. If umpires see his stuff a little bit and give him real strike zone and don't squeeze him a little, I think he's going to have a phenomenal year.
Yeah, Trevor Rogers looked about the same as normal in that game, so I was not surprised by that one.
Yeah, no, can't say anything nice. Don't say anything at all.
Well said. What about pitching in FAAB? It was I thought it was pretty meager this week. I was we haven't seen a lot of guys pitch, and the ones we did see were mostly 1, 2, and 3 stars. They weren't available in a lot of spaces. The Dodgers have Michael Grove pitching twice this week with all the injuries in the rotation. Ryan Pepio got hurt before he even made an outing. He's going to pitch twice this week. Were you guys in on a Michael Grove in FAAB this weekend?
On my waterfall, some leagues that are pending, I have bids on them. But I don't really know a lot about Michael Grove
you just want to say waterfall as many times as possible.
I didn't. Did I say it? I guess I did.
I love when you say it.
Yeah. Which do you like better, waterfall or yogurt?
I like yogurt more.
I do too.
Doesn't mean I don't like waterfall, but I love yogurt.
By the way, I have a great idea for yogurt. I should. There's an overall winner, but
yep.
I think a weekly winner of the overall should get like a free froyo.
I'm all in for that.
I mean, I think it's genius. I think Justin should be all over it, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm doing very well there right now. But
look at you, nice.
Yeah, it'd be the only time all year that I'm there, so I got to have. It's all self-interest, but so Michael Grove. Let's talk Michael Grove because I don't really know a ton about him. He's James Anderson's number 184 prospect. Not a huge strikeout guy, especially as he got higher. Standard arsenal, it seems like mid-90s fastball. Everybody throws mid-90s now. Even you throw mid-90s, I heard.
I'm like high 80s these days, but back in the day, maybe.
Had a big year last year, obviously, and that's why he's getting this. After kind of struggling Double A in 2021. But to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about him except for he pitches for the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are usually pretty good. And he gets 2 starts, so that was kind of enough for me.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat too. I mean, I obviously looked into him and looked it up, and obviously, I think we know that Gavin Stone is going to be the guy here at some point. Everybody loves Gavin Stone, but
or Bobby Miller for that matter. A lot of people love Bobby Miller too.
They have a lot. They just keep coming with the prospects, but they have a lot of injuries right now though, and this is with Kershaw healthy, and we know Kershaw's going to miss some time at some point. Dustin May is not going to throw 100 innings. I think the innings are going to be there for whoever can pitch pretty well. So I think that Grove, Stone, and Miller might get some innings. It's going to be kind of I think we're going to see a lot of stuff. Grove has home against Colorado, gotta like that. Although Colorado hit a little bit in San Diego this weekend, and then at Arizona. So a pretty good 2 starts on paper for the most part. The Dodgers obviously score runs. The Dodgers are obviously smart. I kind of lowered my bids after I looked a little deeper into him. I said, I noticed what you saw that the strikeouts kind of got a little bit lesser as he moved up to AAA. Last year was not great in AAA. ERA over 4, WHIP of about 1.3. He kind of just fell into my, he has 2 starts so he can pitch it for the Dodgers. I'll give him a shot kind of range.
Yeah. The second start's a road start, but it's at Arizona, and low key, Arizona is a great place to pitch. People don't realize
wild because like 4 years ago, it was the pitch you did not want anybody pitching.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I hear analysts get that wrong all the time too. Like, launching pad in Arizona. Yeah. Not since the humidor.
Yeah. The humidor really changed that place dramatically. Yeah. It was because there was a time where Eduardo Escobar and David Peralta were hitting jacks out of there, and it's not the way it is anymore.
Yeah, fantasy analysts get that right, by the way. Yes. I hear it like non-fantasy components where I hear the launching pad thing and maybe they just haven't had reason to pay as close attention to that as we had because it affects our bottom line.
Speaking of guys who did pitch well today, Johnny Brito for the Yankees looked awesome today. He was throwing. He had a spot where he had 5 strikeouts in a row. He had, I think he had 5 shutout innings or 1 running, whatever he gave up. But it's a little complicated because they sent him down after the game. They don't need a 5th starter next week. So it looks like Brito's probably not going to pitch this week. They're going to go Cortez for 2 and Domingo Germán for 2. And then Brito comes back up the next week after he does the 10 days in the minors, and they can use another bullpen arm. Did you jump in Eddie Brito knowing that you couldn't use him this week, but you have to save him for next week? Did he show you enough today that you wanted to jump in on that?
It's funny. I picked him up last week for Tout Wars where,
Did you use him, I hope?
I had to. In Tout Wars, you pick a guy up, he has to be active that first week. So.
That's right. I forgot that rule.
No, but it's okay. I don't expect you to have encyclopedic knowledge of the arcania of rules that I'm in for all my various leagues. Scott.
I know you play in a 4x4 AL.
I do. That's a home league too. Yeah. But I did not I scaled back bids for this week because he's, he should be back the following week, but plans change all the time.
They do.
And I don't want to have a dead spot this early. I really don't. Yeah. So I did not pick him up in various leagues here. Richard Sands was tweeting at us saying, they announced it kind of right before the FAAB deadline. For the Yankees, this is progress. Usually they wait till about Monday at 3 o'clock to announce these things. But
and I mean, it makes sense. Like they have their 4 guys. They don't need a 5th starter this week. You keep Brito on turn. He can pitch once in the minors. They come back. You get an extra arm in the bullpen. Like I don't think they're screwing him over anyway. It kind of makes sense. But for our purposes, yeah, it's hard to pick somebody up and then know you can't use them the next week at all.
Yeah. So I scaled back my bids a little bit on him. And I was impressed, but it's also, let's be fair, at the Giants. I want to be. I'm impressed because he also looked good in spring training. And it looks like
how lovely was it the first run of the season in a first at bat of the year is Aaron Judge hitting a home run against the Giants after they didn't sign him. It was beautiful.
Yeah, you don't sound like an A's fan at all.
It was beautiful.
But, Brito's next start will be at Cleveland, by the way, if form holds.
Who just kicked the crap out of the Mariners this weekend.
Yeah, Cleveland looked pretty darn good.
They looked really good. By the way, they have about 5,000 arms in that bullpen that are good. Like every guy that comes out of there is throwing gas.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was fitting that they extended Trevor Stephan, who most people don't even know who he is. Got the save today because
he looked good.
Because Karinchak and Klase have been used too much. Good problem to have. But Cleveland looks good. It's almost like they're good at developing pitching.
They had another guy that came in. I think it was Dela Cruz today. And I looked up, and for a second, I thought it was Klase. And I'm like, oh, it's just another guy who's nasty coming out of their bullpen. They just got a lot of guys.
And they got another guy, too. Has struck out the first 4 guys he's faced in the majors or something like that. I'll pull up his name here in a sec. But it's just, just keep coming out of their ears. Garrett.
Yeah. And it was
Tim Herron.
Tim
not
Herron.
The golfer.
Not Lumpy.
Not Lumpy. What a great nickname.
A great nickname. Yeah, the guy I was watching was Eniel De Los Santos, not De La Cruz, and he was throwing 96, and he looked good too. Like they got a lot of guys in that pen.
That guy, Eniel De Los Santos, was he with somebody else before? It seems like he was an Astro at some point in time.
You know what? I think you might be right. I feel like
he was a Philly for 3 years in Pittsburgh because who knows, they don't need a guy that can throw gas. So, and then the last 2 years with Cleveland, of course, he's been way better with Cleveland. Figures how that works.
Yeah, they got a lot of guys coming out. You better be leading after 7 because they got some guys coming out of there that are just throwing gas. What did you do with the Mets? We got the Mets. Obviously, we got the news on opening day that Justin Verlander was going on the IL. Not great for anybody who drafted him in the second round. But with their openings now, David Peterson was already starting, and now Tyler McGill is going to be starting. Who got a lot of hype last year. He was pretty popular last year in the original FAAB or like late in drafts and pitched really well at the start of the year. Got hurt and kind of struggled after that, but obviously has strikeout stuff, has strikeout guys in the minors. Were you guys in on any Tyler McGill? Was he available? He was about 45% available in the 40% owned in the main event. I think it was what it was. So about 55% available.
I put bids on him in some leagues. I'm trying to remember where I got him or where I was bidding on him. And after seeing Vlad's tweet, I doubled down to make sure that I had the right McGill.
Yes.
Not Jimmy McGill, obviously, but it was.
Who the heck is Jimmy McGill?
Better Call Saul, dude.
I haven't seen it. Sorry.
Oh, that hurts. That hits me where I live.
You should. That's a big miss for me so far.
Did you see Breaking Bad yet?
I've told the story before. I've only watched the beginning of it because my wife was pregnant and they had some scenes that she wasn't great with at the time. So I've not got back and watched, but I need to do it. I just I need to sit down and make the commitment because obviously one that I want to see at some point.
Yeah, and I think Better Call Saul is actually better than Breaking Bad, but they're both amazing. So for whatever it's worth,
watch Better Call Saul without knowing the Breaking Bad universe, or do you have to watch that one first?
No, not really. I mean, it's kind of standalone, but there are so many callbacks that you're better off having seen Breaking Bad first. By the way, Tyler McGill went for 143 in one of the 3 mains that he is available, and we weren't close to that.
He was 91 in mine. I was in like the 50s or 60s, if I remember right. So I was mildly aggressive, but it was frustrating because it was the one team I didn't really need pitching on yet. It was the one he was available, which is always kind of the way that works.
Always.
Did you reach down to any of the lower guys here that like fell into jobs? We got Josh Fleming in Tampa Bay, who doesn't strike guys out. Same guy with Chris Flexen in Seattle. I actually picked him up in one league. He's been decent the last couple of years when he pitches. Robbie Ray went on the IL, so Flexen's going to get a run in the rotation. He's really a matchup guy, but I kind of picked him up for depth. There was not a lot of pitching that was exciting. I think it's mostly because we haven't seen a lot of these 4 and 5 start yet.
It was thin gruel. I had some bids in on Fleming, including 15-team mixed labor, which we drafted in February. Have both Bard and Verlander on opening day go down like that. Within like minutes of each other too. Yeah. So that was super fun. It gives me 7 guys that I couldn't use on that team. So
that's a lot.
Yeah. It's 7 pitchers, by the way.
That's all for opening day. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. 2 were sent down. One was Bailey Ober, who did nothing wrong. It's shame on me.
It's not like you drafted a bunch of guys they're injured as stashes. That just happened since you drafted.
Yeah. Exactly. So I'd be happy with Josh Fleming in that league because he's a usable body. So we'll see about that. But
and he faces the Nationals this week and pitches for the Rays, which is always a good thing on both ends there. What about relievers? For a short series of games here so far, we had some reliever movement. We mentioned the Will Smith stuff that happened just before the deadline. What are you thinking about Pierce Johnson? He got the save for the Rockies. The save the Rockies had over the weekend. Obviously, Daniel Bard, you mentioned, went on the IL with his mental health issues. Were you guys in on Pierce Johnson? Do you think it's his job? Do you think we're going to see a mix? Strikes a lot of guys out, but he also walks a lot of guys, which always freaks me out as a closer, especially one in Coors Field.
You pretty much summarized the whole gamut of my opinions there. In on him, didn't get him. More of a keep him honest. And except for I haven't seen some of the FAAB runs and some of the later deadlines yet. He could be closing for 2 weeks. He could be closing all season. It's a pretty wide range. I mean, remember when Daniel Bard got the job last year, it was not a sure thing that he'd have the job all year. He kind of took it and ran with it. And, a lot of people had keep him honest bids, and that was enough. And then you got 30 saves for the season. That was a huge win for you.
Yeah, it was huge.
This is why you bid on these guys. But I had keep them honest bids, and they weren't honest. They were aggressive. So be it.
I had kind of the same thing, kind of keep them honest bids, and they were, like I said, all 3 of my leagues, they went triple digits. I mean, we're at a time in 15-teamer where almost everybody needs saves. Probably 2, 4 or 5 teams in the league that feel pretty good about having 2 guys. Pretty much nobody beyond that. Jeff, question in the chat, pretty easy one, I think. Would you start this week for 2 starts, Kyle Bradish or Michael Kopech? Kopech is the Giants and the Pirates. If you're not throwing that, I don't know. You probably don't need to have Michael Kopech on your team. I got to throw Kopech.
I prefer Kopech on merit too.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I mean, and we've discussed Bradish. I like him. Yeah. I like adding him late, but I prefer Kopech.
Yeah, 2 starts against the Giants and Pirates. I mean, it doesn't. We talked about the Rays matchups. It's not quite that good, but it's pretty darn good too.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see like this Giants team. They did right on Saturday, although I mean some of those were tack on runs at the end, and turns out they needed those tack on runs off of Clay Holmes, no less. But
that Camilo Duvall got bailed out big time. He was a mess, and Stanton hit a rocket, but into a double play.
Yeah, which could have been safe at either base too. By the way, it was a weird finish.
He was safe at second, wasn't he?
I thought so.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought he was actually out at first, but I thought he was pretty clearly safe at second.
Yeah. It was also, hey, it's raining, let's get out of here, sort of thing. I thought.
Wild stat of Saturday. There were. Hopefully get this right. There were 14 balls in the majors hit over 110 miles an hour. Stanton had 3 of the 14 that day.
Jeez. He is locked in. Did you see the home run today?
Like 485. That was absurd.
There were some shots today. I mean,
Trout and Ohtani back to back.
Massive. Perfectly timed. It was between the 3rd and 4th quarters of the basketball game. Yeah. And, I have 2 TVs, so I had the baseball on all along, but I switched the volume just in time to see Trout. And it's Trout and Ohtani are appointment watching. I mean,
I think they're both over 430 feet. It was insane.
Yeah. And at first I thought Trout's was farther, but no, Ohtani's was actually a little farther, but just the sound on both of them. It's just
the suites out there are far too. I've sat in those suites and you feel like you're another zip code and you're sitting out there and the guys are hitting balls out there. It was just insane.
It was.
Yeah, I hope those guys stay healthy. I hope that Anthony Rendon can go wherever he wants to go, but I hope Trout and Ohtani stay healthy because they are just fun to watch.
Yeah, nice. Not a good weekend for Anthony Rendon already.
What a dumbass! Like, what are you doing? Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Fans are idiots. Fans say stupid stuff, but you can't jump in and grab a dude and like try and swing. It's just so.
And then
dumb.
his knee is bothering him the rest of the weekend.
Yeah,
too.
I'm sure it is. He goes, I have no comment. Oh, by the way, my knee hurts. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Speaking of the A's, you doing anything with the A's club situation? It's a mess. We got Trevor May, Uris Familia, Danny Jimenez got the one save this weekend. I think it's clear that they're probably not going to win a lot of games. I have May in one league. I was mildly bidding on Jimenez, but I think it's going to be kind of a messy three-headed monster for not a ton of saves either.
We won him in one of the three mains, 49-37. He's going to go the Cesar Valdez route. It seems like they're a change up off.
That's a good pull. That's a good pull right there. I couldn't have come up with Cesar Valdez, Orioles closer there for a while.
Yeah, it's slow ball after slow ball. I mean, the velocity is just not there. But possession is part of the law here. The problem, this could be a special bad team though, and that's the problem. He could have 20 saves at most, and that's part of the problem. I mean, opening night, at least they won.
He was good last year. He just walks a lot of guys, so that freaks me out. He walked over 12% of guys this year, but still 3.4, 1.19. He pitched pretty well last year, but it's always walking a tightrope with him.
It is, and just again though, this is the fun part about going after closers.
I think it's going to be more painful than ever this year. I know we always say that about closers, but this is going to be a special level of frustration to closers this year.
I think so. I think I'm in line for some pain, and I have to give Mike the Mouth credit. He was giving me shit about the third of our teams, the one that's actually doing well. He goes, "It's the curse of Barlow. You're going to be so frustrated with that." I do have Chapman on that team. I don't have Chapman on the other team.
The Royals didn't win a game this weekend, right?
They scored a run yet today, so progress. 4 of them even. But Chapman yesterday struck out the side in his inning, and that's obviously a pretty good sign. Barlow pitched today, gave up a walk, but then induced a double play.
So you don't really care which one it is, but you just want it to be one rather than.
No, I care. I want it to be Barlow because in one league I don't have Chapman. I had ample opportunity to back Barlow up and didn't. Total fail on my part. If Shu were around for that draft, I'm going to blame him for actually having a life, as I actually drafted that one with him just chiming in here and there. But that was a fail on my part because it's clearly one of those two guys.
Yeah.
And you want it to be one of those two guys.
That's the key, is you want them to not have 22 each. You want them to have 32 and 8 or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's jump into week 2. I think that's a pretty good coverage of FAAB. It's actually a little more FAAB intensive and interesting than I thought it was going to be after 3 days. There were a lot of names to talk about. But first, from our sponsors at Vivid Seats. Baseball is back, as we've been talking about on the podcast here. Swing into MLB season with Vivid Seats and score tickets to all of the hottest matchups and biggest games of the year. Every crack of the bat, every deep fly ball to center field, and every heart-pounding double play of your favorite team live and in person. Plus, with Vivid Seats rewards, you can now earn rewards for every single ticket purchase. Each ticket you buy gets you closer to your reward. Just buy 10 tickets and simply cash in your credit towards an 11th ticket purchase. It's that easy. A pro award tip: buy tickets for your whole group, split the bill, and make progress towards your free 11th ticket even faster. From behind the plate, or if you want to sit in the upper deck, Vivid Seats has great tickets for all the 2023 games that matter to you. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, experience it live. See vividseats.com/rewards for terms and conditions. So, Jeff, we got week 2. We got a full week of baseball, which will be fantastic. Only 4 teams have 7 games this week. We have a lot of that. The other half of the league has to have their opening days, so we have a lot of those same kind of days off. But we have Atlanta, Washington, Kansas City, and Toronto with 7. Everybody else in the majors has 6. There are a lot of really good offensive schedules this week, though. There are some teams that have some really good setups. I think I like Boston a lot. They have 3 against Pittsburgh, 3 against Detroit. Like, you got to love the matchups there. We talked about Tampa Bay. 3 in Washington, 3 at Oakland. What are the other offenses you're targeting this week? The Rockies are home for 4 games over the weekends against the Nationals. What are you doing in terms of streaming some offense?
So Montero for the Rockies was a target, actually. Forgot to mention him in the FAAB.
Played all 3 games, right?
Yeah, 4 games. They played 4.
Oh, that's right. They played 4, yeah.
So yeah, he caught my eye a little bit because it wasn't Moustakas. Now it might eventually be Moustakas, but And the Rockies haven't had their Rocky Road yet, as I think someone pointed out to Vlad at one point in time, because they haven't been home yet.
Yep.
So you don't get the reverse effect on the road yet. So that's part of it.
I see what you mean there. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, they literally haven't been to Coors Field to play yet. So they haven't gotten all screwed up. Now they went from Arizona to San Diego. Now they go to LA for a couple of games. Yeah, I think that's worth paying attention to. What caught my eye also though was how, Boston's lineup looks long. It looks like it's especially in Fenway. That looks like that's going to, Adam Duvall seems like a really good fit in Fenway.
It's funny. You watch games and his swing just like really fits for Fenway, doesn't it?
Yep. It really does. And that Saturday finish was just surreal.
The drop fly ball was so bad.
I mean, Jeff McNeil could have caught that one.
I was about to say I now am better left field than two major league outfielders. So I'm really stepping up my game.
That was amazing. That was just, and of course, immediately gets punished right after that.
Oh, yeah. Once he dropped that, I'm like, oh, they're losing this game. There's no way. You felt bad for Bautista, but you just knew at that point, like, you don't drop a fly ball like that, it doesn't come back to haunt you at some point.
Yeah. And then, Bautista on opening day also looked a little choppy with his control. A little bit.
He did.
And he had some defensive miscues in that one too, where the game should have been another game ender where Jorge Mateo threw it away on the double. And
he's
play
a really
ball.
He's a really good defender too.
I know. So that was a little weird, but I did make a crack that, hey, Jordan Westbrook's on the orange courtesy phone there, but they are just loaded in their farm system. You look at James Anderson's prospect rankings. New one came out last week, by the way, rotowire.com/pod. Check them out for yourself. Get a free trial. No credit cards required, but I'm going to pump James up all the time because his prospect rankings are the bomb.
And you have to, because you work there. I'm going to pump James. I don't work there. James is awesome. James is a great dude, but his prospect stuff is as good as it gets. He's awesome. So anybody that is into prospect of Dynasty League should go read all of James's stuff. He's great.
But anyhow, his new rankings littered with Orioles in the top 100. Just lots of them.
Do his rankings
top 50.
Do his rankings tell me if Gunnar Henderson's going to get a hit this season or not?
No, they do not tell me that. But I have a similar exposure to him than you, as you. Maybe not in the main, but in a lot of other places. So
again, one series, I'm not really worried. But yeah, it was for all every time they just kept scoring runs. I'm like, oh, I wonder what Henderson did. I look up, I'm like, oh, another offer. I'm like, oh, fantastic.
Well, it sucks when it happens in Fenway like that. You're like, yeah.
But
the wheel will turn around for him at some point.
Question in chat about dropping somebody. Would you drop Dela Cruz, James Outman, or Bellinger for Mike Clevenger? Clevenger looked really good this weekend. I would drop Brian Dela Cruz of those just because I don't think the playing time will be as consistent as others.
He's the only one I would drop there too, by the way. I would not drop Outman or Bellinger for him. Not even close.
Clevenger looked really good today. I think he did 8 strikeouts against whoever. He was pitching against someone good too, right? I forget who it was, but against the Astros. Yeah.
Yep, that was a good split by the White Sox. By the way,
that was a good series. That was actually a fun series to watch. I watched. I think they were one of the primetime games. They must have been on Friday when there were no games around. But those were really fun games. Those two
Thursday
teams,
was also like a standalone
right,
game.
It was the late game too. So yeah, they were on my TV a lot. I had 2 good teams anyway. Probably watched it anyway. But they both looked really good.
Yep.
Let's see. Other good. Toronto looks good this week. They have 4 against Kansas City, 3 against Anaheim. Washington, we mentioned they're at Coors this weekend. They get Tampa Bay on the front end. That's gonna be really tough, but you want them on the back end. And the Cubs look pretty good this week. 3 against your Reds, then 3 against Texas. Should be an interesting, good week for the Cubs offense too. We should have some good series of offense. We've got a lot of 4 and 5 pitchers pitching a lot this week. We could have a lot of runs these first couple days.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I can't wait till we get past like these weird days off, like Friday days off.
Mondays and Thursdays, I'm used to it. I accept it. But yeah, the weird like days off. The Friday was so strange. But
5 games on a Friday, just so wrong.
Yeah,
especially like Tampa Bay, Detroit. There is no good reason they couldn't have played a 4-game series. None. I do not accept any.
There were a bunch of them that were that way. It's just literally, like you said, a scheduling thing where I'm sure the games just didn't line up.
But that's not interleague. It's not weather. There's no it's going to get dome roof collapsed out. No,
I'm pretty sure Manfred probably blamed analytics for it myself.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's another ridiculous.
Was that the most insane quote of the weekend? I was like, "What are you? Just stop talking."
Yeah. Stop being like the little puppet, inside the owner's hand there.
Does he not realize the Astros are like one of the most analytical teams in baseball? Like they just won the World Series. Like what have we been doing? It's so bad. It's so
especially
bad.
The analytics. I mean, as if everything is one. Stop.
One owner told me this. Go. All right, Rob, go on with yourself. Some news and notes real quick before we get a couple players I want to talk about here at the end. We mentioned Robbie Ray. Not a good one. He pitched poorly, had the grade 1 flexor strain, shut down for 2 weeks. To me, that probably means he's out 6 weeks, if I had to guess, because by the time he gets shut down, the ramps back up, then makes a couple rehab starts. You're probably looking at the middle of May, right?
I think so. Yeah. It's a bad one. It's a really bad one there.
It is. He was a fourth, fifth round pick. That's a tough one.
It's between the injuries and the blow-ups, it's a nice little reminder that, we think we're covered. We think we're fine. Hey, I've got 9 starters. I've got plenty. I'll be fine. Yeah. You're not fine. You're always got to be on watch.
Yeah, you might not even get past the first week. Like it was that bad. Someone in the chat mentioned that Prelander Baroa is coming for the Mariners. He's still in Double A and still walked 17% of guys last year. So I'm not going to jump too much for that one yet. Max Muncy
is coming. Who is pitching for? Is it Flexen? Right,
it's Chris Flexen. Yeah. Who's
home
not
starts
good? Maybe.
Yeah,
not good, but okay. I picked him up at one league, just maybe streams starts here and there. He's been pretty decent ratio wise, but it's always a fine line because he has no strikeouts, so he better not get blown up. He's not going to give you anything if he gets hit.
Yeah, I'd stream him at home and really bad opponents. Like at the Cubs, doesn't rise to that level for me.
Probably not. I don't think I'm throwing him at that spot either.
Home start this week against the Angels. I think I could fake it.
Kind of right on the line. I just wish I hope he faces the A's a lot in the first 4 to 6 weeks here. Max Muncy has a bit of a groin issue, not expected to be an IL situation, but obviously that's one to watch there. As we always say, make sure you look at Monday lineups to see what's going on. Jeff, I think everybody in baseball plays tomorrow.
Hallelujah.
I think we got 15 games tomorrow and 15.
We're gonna have day games then, right? Which also means lineup scrambling. Set your lineups early.
I love everybody playing. I don't love a bunch of day games. There are 2 day games tomorrow. The Mets and Brewers play at 11:10 Pacific time, and the Giants and White Sox play at 12:10 Pacific time.
Okay, so nothing during the show, at least for me, selfishly.
Yeah, nothing super early, but definitely some games that you got to make sure that you
I love day games. I don't love Monday day games, and don't even get me started on the Boston Marathon Day. Oh, that is just misery. And 4th of July, by the way, in Washington. They also play
early now. You're
stupid early. Like
they have to get in the game before all the festivities start in DC, right? Yeah. Yep. Brandon Lau sat Sunday with a toe contusion. Sounds like he's fine, but that's one that again, make sure that he's playing tomorrow. You mentioned Madison Bumgarner. We mentioned Anthony Rendon. You mentioned Lars Nootbaar too. He sat Saturday and Sunday. He jammed his thumb on a slide on opening day. So that's one that he missed. He sat Friday because they had the off day. Then he didn't play Saturday, Sunday. That's one that's 3 days right there. So definitely one you definitely want to check. In San Francisco, Joey Bart went the 10-day IL before he even had an at bat. He got a back strain. He's supposed to play on Saturday. That has the back strain. He's put in the IL. I had to drop him in 2 leagues. I had him in 2 main events. I kind of liked him as a second catcher, but it was a pretty easy drop. I'm not going to keep Joey Bart on my bench as an IL.
Especially when Gary Sanchez is coming.
What'd you think of that? That seemed like an odd signing to me.
I think it's an indication they think that Bart might be out for a while, for one.
Yeah.
And 2, that they're not completely 100% sold on Joey Bart. 3, they saw him during the World Baseball Classic. So, I
was a little surprised. Gary Sanchez is only 4 years older than Joey Bart is.
Yeah. I was shocked that he was still, when I saw him playing the World Baseball Classic, I'm like, yeah, he is unsigned, isn't he? Yeah. And he's not that washed, is he?
He's pretty washed, but yeah, I mean, he can still hit. He just can't. He swings and misses a lot. But my first thought was like Joey Bart swings and misses a lot, but has some pop. Gary Sanchez, the same thing. Like, why are you signing a guy who's 8 years older? But I realized that he's only 4 years older. I kind of thought it was like 32 and 24, and it's 30 and 26 when I looked at it. So maybe it makes a little bit of sense. I think Joey Bart's probably way better defensively. Gary Sanchez he got a little better, but not a good defensive catcher. But I don't know.
Who did you pick up to replace Bart with, by the way?
I picked up Nick Fortes in one league, who, kind of decent. Okay. He had a good weekend. And then I picked up Omar Narvaez the other week. It's not looking great at my catcher position.
No, it never is. It never is when you have to make a pickup like that.
Matt Leahy with my joke. That was the thing. Is like, well, the Joey Bart you want to is like essentially Gary Sanchez 4 years younger. So it's a weird. I thought it was a little bit weird, but
they want him to be Buster Posey, and he's going to turn out to be Gary Sanchez.
Right, that's not ideal right there. A few notes on pitchers who are making their way back. Carlos Rodon making progress. His next session, he might have hitters in the box, Jeff. They're not going to be actually swinging, but they're going to be standing there, is what the report said. So it's a little bit of progress there, but it is good to see that he's pitching, kind of progressing there. Tony Gonsolin is set to face hitters on Wednesday. They actually will be swinging. They're doing kind of a simulated game there. And then Kyle Wright with the Braves actually making a full rehab start on Wednesday. So it sounds like he's probably a couple weeks away from him. We'll probably make 2 rehab starts, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's awfully nice. The Yankees recruited Miguel Vargas to stand in there against Carlos Rodon.
He is excellent. That he even walks when he stands in there, which is fairly amazing.
It's really amazing.
A few players I wanted to ask you about before we jump out of here. 2 guys on the list. We already mentioned Kodai Senga and Jeffrey Springs. Third guy was actually just someone asked about in the chat. Noah Syndergaard was good today against the Diamondbacks. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 6 strikeouts. It was funny. I was joking on my wife. I'm like, when Syndergaard took them out, I'm like, oh, look, the Dodgers are going to fix him. Watch this. First 6 pitches, he had 2 strikeouts, and he almost threw an immaculate inning in the first. But some of the pitched pretty well. Are you buying in on Syndergaard at all with the Dodgers fixing him, or is this he faced Arizona? I'm not too excited quite yet.
Very last league, I got Syndergaard,
right.
and that was a main. So yeah,
I assume you threw him today.
Yeah, we did throw him today.
Nice.
I'll probably, he's not a use every start, but he was like in the 24th round. Like, how could you not take a chance on him there? A Dodger starter with some pedigree after you see what they did to Tyler Anderson, who, by the way, pitched well today.
Kind of. He pitched against a AA team, so who knows if he pitched well.
Fair point. I'm not fully trusting Thor. Okay. But at the same time, you could do worse. You could get hounded. You could get, I mean, I'm going to be feeling that one forever, but I think it's so important this year already to really dive into the matchups a little bit more. And I don't want to overreact, but right now, why would you want to face Toronto or St. Louis? Why would you want to face the Yankees? I mean,
and on the flip side, there's a lot of really bad offense.
Yes.
Like you can, it's going to be a spot where you're going to be wanting, kind of mediocre pitcher against the A's, Nationals, Tigers, against a really good pitcher against whoever you want to go, Yankees, Blue Jays, Dodgers. Like there's a lot of really bad teams to target. I'm looking at Thor's velocity today. It looked like he was 93.5 was kind of the high point. He had 1 pitch at 94, 2 pitches at 94. So it looks like the velocity was more last year than it was old school Thor. So,
but it's not all velocity either.
No, it's not. But the strikeouts weren't there last year. He threw 134 innings last year, which I always kind of forget how much he threw. He had 17% strikeout rate last year. It was really, 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 really low in that regard. Swinging strike rate was 9.1%. I'm holding off judgment for a few more starts, but yeah, if you have him, I think you throw him for home starts, and the Dodgers are really good at doing what they do.
Yeah, I mean, Gonsolin doesn't throw hard, doesn't get strikeouts, and they seem to got a lot of mileage out of him. I don't think he's going to be that good by any stretch, but it seems like the type of pitcher that the Dodgers can work with. And yeah, I'll take chances on him. I'll probably start him this week in his return start at Arizona.
Yeah.
But it's maybe due to lack of alternatives. I won't be thrilled about it, but I'll still start him.
I'd feel pretty good about that one. I mean, it's like you mentioned, Arizona's not a bad place to pitch anymore. And one good start. I think he looked really good today. I think you throw him back again. I would definitely throw that one if I had him. Jeff, are you buying in at all in the Hwan Moncada renaissance out here? He may be back. 8 for 18 this weekend, 2 home runs and 3 doubles. He had 5 extra base hits through 4 games. We've talked about him a lot in the past. He had the 2019 juice ball year that was really good. Then got long COVID. He was never really healthy for a while. Was bad last year. I take a little bit of optimism for this weekend. Obviously, it's one weekend. Who knows? But I thought he looked pretty good this weekend.
He did. He had a good weekend against a tough pitching staff.
He had a home run that just went foul too. Like he almost had a third home run. It was just like over the pole, just foul. But I don't know. He looked a little bit rejuvenated to me. Obviously, I'm holding out hope. It's been one weekend, but for sure, I thought he looked really good.
I agree. I think he looked pretty good. I'm trying to look up the box score of today's game just to see like who did all of his damage. But they faced Garcia. They faced They faced Urquidy, who did not have a great start. That one kind of hurt a little bit there.
They faced Christian Javier. They faced Framber Valdez. I mean, they faced all four of the guys. Aside obviously Hunter Brown, who pitches tomorrow.
Yeah, and I gotta say the White Sox pitching showed up too. I think I think the White Sox are going to be pretty decent this year. I've had this feeling all along. They could be frustrating. I mean, I don't think Ronaldo Lopez looked all that great this weekend, even though he finished 2 games, one with a save.
Throwing hard, but did not look great.
No. Really labored today. I did cut Graveman in one league because I kind of had to have a cut, but I don't know. That might be premature.
Speaking of which, is a good point. Did you think about Liam Hendricks at all in leagues?
I did.
I added him in. I added him in yogurt. It was like my fourth guy in my waterfall, but I added him there. I mean, they didn't put him on the 60-day IL. He's throwing. It sounds like late May is like a real possibility here.
It is.
Obviously, 9 million stuff of unknown and we don't know, but I mean, it certainly sounds like they're pretty optimistic. He's going to pitch at some point in the middle of the year.
Yeah. And in my online, I got Will Smith. Had I not got Will Smith, I would have gotten Hendricks. And I would have won it like 57-54. So it would have been a very close win. I think I think maybe there's one other place where I think he was available, but keep an eye out. The mains, he was pretty much rostered still, I think, but other places he was available. We didn't talk about Ryan Presley yet. And I know they said he's just sick. There's just a small part of me that's a little skeptical still because I didn't see it myself, but I saw reports that he was shaking his arm on Thursday in his outing.
Yep.
Did not pitch Friday, did not pitch Saturday. Dusty said after the fact on Saturday was not available, but I'm a little worried. Just enough that I'm concerned. Montero pitched Thursday and Friday, didn't pitch great, but got a save, and he's obviously got a track record. Neris got a very bumpy save on Saturday. Yep. I thought it was noteworthy. It was Seth Martinez that was warming up when Neris was struggling on Saturday. So Ryan Presley is one of the safe guys, one of our rocks.
Yep.
If he's a little on shaky ground, it just makes it even more hellish than we already thought.
It's funny. You mentioned the White Sox pitching. Did you see Lance Lim drop the F-bomb on Jeremy Pena after he struck him out on Saturday?
I did not. That's funny.
Struck him out. He gave like a big Ric Flair yell, and all of a sudden he just dropped an F-bomb on Pena. I was like, this guy's crazy. Like he's really fired up out there.
Yeah, he was.
Someone's asking in the chat, Jeff, do you have any issue with Jeffrey Springs getting pulled with the no-hitter today? I did not his first start of the year. Did not bug me at all. It was 81 pitches. I think at first start of the year, Springs is not someone you're expecting to go 120 pitches. I think that I had no issue with that decision. Middle of the year, I tend to have some issues with those decisions. I did not have it in the first start.
Yeah, it's April 2nd. No problem with it there.
Let's see. We already mentioned Adam Duvall, Anthony Volpe. Three games, Jeff, 3 stolen bases. It looks like maybe you talked about Jeffrey Springs with the helium. Looks like the Volpe helium might be interesting too. It sounds like Aaron Boone's starting to talk and think about leading him off a little bit
already. Well, yeah. It's so we're drafting Yahoo Friends and Family tomorrow. I've been shut out on Volpe so far, and I think you have too. Any interest in pushing that ADP up a little bit?
Yeah, in a league like that's obviously we want to win, but it's a little more fun, not as much at stake as some of these other leagues. I'd like to get him there. I think that'd be a fun guy to roster there.
Yeah, we don't find out our draft order till like right before, right?
Oh, you're talking about taking him in the first round?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I think you should be thinking about that. Especially if you're right before me, you should think about that.
Is that 14 teams?
I don't know.
I think it is. It was. I think it was last year. I don't know.
In the past, it's 14 or even 16. I think.
Oh, there was a 16 in there. That's right. What's he go for? What's he go there tomorrow? Like the 3rd round, 4th round?
He already has 3 bags, right?
Wait, do we retroactive stats or no? Do you know?
You have questions. I
have questions. I come to you for answers.
I would say he goes around 65 to 70, but with the possibility of it depends on it's in a long snake like draft like that, someone could jump it just to want to get him there. It could be a total FOMO pick at like 54, 48, something like that. I don't know.
There's 15 teams that were in it last year. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it'd be a 4 or 5 turn kind of guy.
Yep.
That's all I have. I was talking about Adam Duvall too. We already talked about him. We talked about the Cardinals and their long lineup. It was That was a pretty fun weekend of baseball, Jeff. It was really good to have it back. And I tell you what, I'm very thankful for fantasy baseball because as an A's fan, this would be a tough year, but I'm really excited for the season. There's so many young players I like watching, and I forget who it was. Someone not in the chat or not in fantasy world was asking me, "What do you do when the A's are bad? Do you just not watch games?" I'm like, "There's so many fun, good young players. There's teams I'll root for. There's players I'll root for. My fantasy players, even someone who is on a team that's going to lose 105 games. It's looking like a really fun season."
Yeah, and get to see the good players coming to town, and yeah, I mean that's the thing. I fire up the grid channel every day, and I just kind of like hover around and find matchups I like, pitchers I want to see, or Volpe's up. Let's get the volume on that one there.
Yep,
Jordan Walker's up. Get the volume on that.
Jordan Walker's the same way. Yeah. It's most teams have something I can flip over, and that's the thing with your Reds. Like I'm like, Hunter Green's pitching, Nick Lodolo's pitching. I turned into those. Lodolo I thought looked pretty good. He had a few hiccups there, but he's a fun guy to watch too.
Yeah, he got out of that first inning was choppy, very choppy, like 35 pitches. And usually you get a big inning like that, heavy inning like that, you're usually kind of toast. Hunter Green was that way on opening day, but man, they let him through 109. He got his win. I don't know. That seems a little excessive to me. Hopefully there's not any long effects of that, but you never know. I mean, I do like watching Lodolo pitch. I'm trying to see when look at the Reds schedule real quick. He doesn't get an extra day of rest, but I wouldn't be surprised if they push him back a day or till the Saturday because they're off on Friday because it's Phillies opening day on Thursday. So I can see them like moving it around a little bit.
Yeah, they obviously only announced the first half of the week for the Cubs series, but yeah, I could see it's a problem. Some of the chats as a Mariners fan, I love when the A's stink. Why would there's no Mariners A's hate? The A's haven't been good and planned enough. You can't hate the A's. You can hate the Astros and the Angels. You can't hate the A's. They're too bad to hate.
Dude, you were hegemonic for a decade. No, I don't know. I was just being silly.
Yeah, just because the Mariners went 20 years between making the playoffs doesn't mean you got to take it out on me.
Oh, salty! I like salty Scott.
I actually like them. The Mariners are really fun to watch right now too. They got a fun team. They're going to be fun. I'd love to see them put some heat on the Astros, but it's going to be the Astros are still the class of that division.
They are. And by the way, anybody that drafted Jordan Alvarez is probably feeling pretty good about it, even though he got the day off today. But
we're gonna see some days off for sure. But man, that dude can just flat out hit. I just there's some guys in the conversation, but he's in the conversation of best pure hitters in baseball.
He is, and he went as late as 36 in one main event. So
that's wild.
And he went as early as first in one.
That first one was it was Jordan 1, Spencer Strider 2 in that league. Like,
yeah.
Imagine
didn't see like the whole grid for that draft, but that's some rogue drafting right there.
I had the rogue drafter in my league. That's right.
I know you did.
He's still around and still kicking. So I can't say that yet. We'll have to see how he finishes this year. But he was setting some mins out there as always.
Exactly.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. Really do appreciate that. Always fun to talk baseball. Really, even more fun now that we actually have games to talk about, and players to talk about, and stats to talk about. Again, so you can please rate and review the podcast. We do appreciate that. Other than that, we don't know who's going to be at you next Sunday. It's Easter next week. We'll figure out. It might be Jeff and a guest. It might be one of us. Might be both of us, but we'll see how schedules work out. But we're back at you next Sunday with a podcast for sure. Hope everybody has a really good week. Hopefully your team start moving up those standings. So everybody has a really good week, and take care. We're back at you next week.
Thanks, everyone.